because there were some that were really seriously wanting it done, but that was their rules. If you don't have a channel that has you making videos on it, requesting me to do this for you, we're not going to do it.
Right.
And so some people got their feelings hurt. They said, well, you know what? Forget it. If you're going to have this kind of controversy going on out there of people wanting to mess with you while you do it, setting you up, stirring up trouble like that one girl did, because Michael just didn't like you for whatever reason, you know what? Forget it. It's not worth it. And I said, okay, fine. And they said, well, think about it. There's other things you could do. And that's when I started working on my books and stuff. And I got the impression it's just like when you have a big family and one or two kids does something bad, everybody pays for it.
Right.
And so what happened was they said, look at how long it takes you to put it together. Look at how much time is involved. And at this point in time, I understand that you enjoy doing them, but I really think going about it that way is just being too taxing on you. And now that you don't know if people are going to set you up or be really serious about this, you don't need to play those games with them.
That's right. That's true.
And so I said, I agree.
Right.
So they were saying, well, you could get a promoter. That's what they were telling me today, a promoter that, goes about doing this. Like they set up these country singers or these people that are out there traveling around. And this is what happened when we were watching Charlie Pride yesterday. That was the thing. Why don't you find somebody like he has, a promoter, to help you get on the circuit or any circuit to do things, And I said, well, it would have to be someone who would really understand or that would believe this. And they said, well, look at John Edwards. He goes around to people and talks about their families that have crossed over. You could do, maybe you could find out who his promoter is. And I said, yeah, I could do that. But then the only thing comes back at me is Ron's business, because when I went for 3 weeks to stay with Carrie after Genevieve was born, he was like freaking out. He would have to send me, or he would have to tell me over the phone what he did, because he's not computer literate, okay? He would have to tell me what he did on the job. I would write it all down, type up the invoice, and then email it to his son, Mark, who Mark would print it out so that he would be able to give it to his customer. Oh, I mean, I'm not kidding.
Oh.
Faxing it or emailing it or whatever. It was a process in order for me to do that. So whenever I say things like, well, if you don't want to go with Dad on a road trip because of your business, I can go with him by myself, And he's like, oh, no, you don't. You better not. You better not leave me here by myself. And so, part of me says he would have a fit if he couldn't go with me because he wants to taper down on his business. But the other part of it is he has this need to protect me. And that need to protect me has gone on before my life in this life. And that's why he planned on being with me, but he did it in a way to keep himself undercover so somebody that we know wouldn't find out about it and cause him to have problems, right?
Right.
So he did a good job. Him and his guide did what they could. But literally, he goes around with this paranoia, like, if anybody hurts you, they're going to have to deal with me kind of thing. So I know there's still messages out there in the universe that's coming into his mind because he'll pull a baseball bat out from underneath the bed and lay it next to the bed at night. And I go, what are you doing that for? He says, well, they're going to have to get by me to get to you. And I'm like, honey, we have a security gate to the subdivision. We have a storm door and a deadbolt lock. We have an alarm system. I really think it's going to be a while, before somebody can get to us. Because the minute a window opens up or a door opens up, that alarm is going to go off,
That's right.
He says, it's this baseball bat or my gun. Pick. Because he knows I have guns.
My God.
And I'm like, okay, sleep with the baseball bat then. I don't care. But he's like that. He's been like that since I've known him and, just real protective. So his thing when I drove all the way to Louisiana by myself is he was scared that I wasn't going to make it, that I might have an accident or whatever. And I said, I raised kids. I've been from a big family. I really can take care of myself. Truly, I can. But everywhere we go, he drives. I said, you want me to drive? Well, if we're on a trip, I will drive. But when we took that trip out to Yellowstone, he did all the driving. We went up to Canada, he did all the driving. He didn't even let me drive. And I have a feeling it's because he knows somebody's out there messing with me.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
it's his way of getting messages and using those messages to protect me, even though he doesn't understand where those messages are coming from. So, I want the universe to know that Ron is very serious about protecting me. Just so you know, okay? So, and I'm telling that to those around me too. Yeah, he's got guns in a safe. He's got a gun in the closet. He has a baseball bat. Yeah, maybe he use a virtual baseball bat on him and get him to stay away.
There you go. Hit a home run. Hit a home run.
Yeah, right. But yeah, he just has this thing about it, and I always called it his paranoia. But now I think I understand where a lot of it's come from, because he's got those emotions still probably from his guide to keep him on his toes. And I'm sure it's those emotions that he's receiving, because you guys know I'm still under attack. Right. You know I still have things happening to me, even though I've learned to ignore the majority of it. He just feels like he's getting these emotions that Charlene is under attack or whatever, and not knowing how else to relate to it. He relates to it in that physical sense of, well, if anybody hurts her, they're going to have to deal with me. Oh, and you know what he just said not too long ago? He said, what did he say? Something about him dying. And I said, you better not. You better stick around, and better stick around for a long time. And he says, that's right, because if I'm out there, they're going to have hell to deal with.
Oh, my God, he's so awesome.
Yeah. Susan, did you just turn your sound up?
I did.
We can hear it.
Because all of a sudden I'm getting a lot of feedback, and I didn't know if it was affecting Janelle or not.
Yes. Hey, are we going to wrap this up, because I got to get going here? I don't mean to.
Oh, my gosh. I just looked at the time. Okay, so what other gray questions do we need? Now, let's get this straight. I feel like there's several different species, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's several different species, and we're naming them things that are pretty much what people are calling on this planet. But I have a feeling that the doubt that I feel is something that they feel is misnaming them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that Zabrona said that there was a reptilian being of a hostile breed that was male-female, that was not their breed of the androgynous breed. I also know that there was a smaller breed. These male-female are taller, but they're male-female. There's a smaller male-female breed. I also felt like they were around. This other breed that I felt was around was the ones that Zabrona's breed went after, annihilated, so to speak, was another form of a hostile breed. Remember when I said, what next? And I heard the word grays? Remember, Janelle,
now,
when I said...
the one that we're calling Killis, was that his species?
Yes. Wait, was it Killis or Zerduk? No, not Zerduk. Alnak. Remember?
Yeah.
Alnak is the one that killed Zabrona.
But you said grays, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the sense of the different breeds that we call. Some of them we call grays because of something that they might be wearing to camouflage themselves, but not necessarily what they are known by. And that makes sense because, we could be called Americans here, but people that might live in a deserted island somewhere don't know us from a hill of beans.
Well, then what did the Olnak species call themselves?
Olnak species called themselves... Are they a reptilian type? Sort of. Their skin is textured, and smaller, and...
What do they mean by textured? Scaly or bump?
Not scaly, necessarily. I'm getting something like the, like lines in their skin. Like their skin is like line, like like somebody that's been out in the sun a lot and has got those um, age lines on them and stuff like that. Like I call them like rubbery skin. People who have too much time on their hands, spend so much time out in the sun, their skin ages and it gets really tight and leathery looking. But and especially like somebody that's 75 years old out on the beach, and you look at them and go, "Oh my God, what have they done to themselves?" That's the kind of skin texturing I'm feeling, but it's thicker. Mm-hmm. It's a thicker. Oh gosh, I wish I could think of some being on this planet.
Is it like maybe a monitor lizard? Like like how like a Komodo dragon will kind of have like folded skin on its neck?
Yeah, but not like that around their neck. Their skin is not folded tight, but like that Komodo dragon, maybe because of that kind of texture.
Okay.
Oh yeah, elephant skin. Thank you, Susan. Okay. I knew there was like an elephant skin.
Cool.
It's darker and the lines running through it like that. That was all not. Now, as far as species, they were calling themselves. What they were calling themselves is, where are they? Are they now? Any place they need to be.
Mm-hmm. That's
Any
right.
place they need to be. Okay, good. Same as the meat eaters and Rob's. Is that the same as the meat eaters and Rob's impressions? The bigger one, Susan, I would say theirs is more textured than that, is what I'm picking up. Much more textured. I'm thinking they're more on. I'm thinking they're more textured. They're the ones that I found that were wearing uniforms, clothing of kind, okay, male and female, which makes sense because, male and female, you probably get those impressions like we get right here. Okay, Anne. So, they would have clothing. The other ones, the smaller ones that were annihilated, I didn't really see clothing, but I felt male and female. I'm not getting a name yet, Janelle, as far as what they call themselves. The closest I keep getting is species. But, they were calling, some of the people here on this planet were saying beast.
Well,
like they were saying beast, like, calling them beast. Mm-hmm. And to me, a beast is someone that is of a low life form, if that makes sense.
Were they? I don't think they were, though. They seemed, I remember when you were talking to Olnok, he seemed more intelligent and aware than that.
Olnok is the one that we were talking about that had taken Sabrona's life, right?
Right.
Right. And he was being subjected to by our friend, remember?
If you can.
And I use the word friend loosely.
I know.
And he, yes, Olnok is not the same as this other one. Their species, as far as I know, their species has been annihilated because they have the ability to hear. They have the ability to see. They do have things, but I'm picking up almost like a primitive shaman, Janelle.
Okay.
But now being out of a body, they also have a better understanding of things, pretty much like we would be as a spirit out in the spirit world. Like life goes on kind of thing. So a lot of them I feel are in that sense of moving on. Okay. Hi, Am. So, right, so I would say that that's the one that they annihilated. That was the one that looked like it had kind of tight elephant skin. You have your snake. Funny. And I didn't even feel like it was a snake skin either. I felt like in this other male, female, taller species, that ones that I think is the one that Rob was seeing, but in uniform, Susan, I feel like they were seeing some metallic type of uniform, giving him an impression of a gray. But again, like I said, they are wise enough to know how to conceal. Okay? Gray for cover, yeah. but their skin, I feel, is more textured and also darker. Um, is that true? They can have different species on that one. Okay, I got it. Okay, they just told me also on this planet, they are not just brown. They have other colors as well. Their coloring could be a grayish color, but it's still a darker grayish. They have brown. They have a reddish color. They also have an albino color. Even Zabrona said that there were times where they would have a
Oh, that's interesting.
genetic flaw.
Did they have like the pink eyes and everything?
Good question. Was the albino a darker eye or a lighter eye? They still had the same.
Because like an albino python is like yellow and white.
Right. They still have the same type of eyes, only they're lighter.
Oh,
they have the same kind of eyes, only they're lighter. Okay.
Pretty.
So what I was just pulling off is on Zabrona's species, they have the same kind of eyes, only they're lighter, meaning like those cat eyes type thing. Mm-hmm. And I also felt like these other reptilian beings that wear like uniform type stuff has the same type of eyes, like cat eyes. They have different species. That's a good question. Does Zabronas have red? They have a greenish color, a brownish greenish color, a brownish color, and they have sometimes even as dark as a blackish brown. He said, but they have white only occasionally. And they don't consider white any more superior than anyone else on their planet because that's how they are. The other planet with the male-female species where they wear clothing has different species on there too, different colors. Basically, like we can have here, a long time ago, okay, somebody's trying to tell me that they thought the albinos were somebody special. Is that coming from them? They have a thing about people that are of that species being special. Okay, the ones that they're just telling me now, Janelle, is that when on this other planet, it's like their beings, the male and female, the tall ones, the more warrior, fighting, hatefulness, whatever, they have this thing that if you're born albino or white, they call it white, or they call it white compared to what we call it white, because they just let me have that emotion of what we call it. If that's in a white category or albino category, they're considered a special breed. Since it doesn't happen too often, well, that's a good point. Are they intelligent still? Are they still considered intelligent as others? They said, ours, yes, theirs is doubtful. I'm getting like, I'm getting almost a feeling like Zabrona and Det has been around me, understanding things, and kind of regaining himself back. And that was the message I got. It was as if it was Zabrona, being Andet, Zabrona's soul, Andet's soul, and all the other things he's been in the past, was saying that with their breed, they all consider themselves all the same, regardless. They have nothing to hide. They're androgynous, so they have a different attitude on that species because of all the stuff that you see here on this planet with the animals. And he says we're animals because we're two-legged animals. We're like not mineral, not vegetable, but we're animals. Right. That animal is in them a strong sense of survival too, and they have this, somebody just said fantasy. They have a condition on their tribe to make something. They have a condition on that tribe to make them into something special. So I'm taking from this that anyone that is born with that type of skin is made into some kind of regal royal prince, like put on a pedestal. Let me put it that way.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Because I've heard that story out there before, too.
I haven't seen any other species do that other than them. Okay. And a lot of emotions that we have been getting on this planet for eons have been because of other beings being on other planets and being here. So we have things that are going on in the now, meaning we can sense if somebody is still a physical person on this planet or another planet. But we also know that there's things that go on in people's souls from past lifetimes, like my soul, like all of us
I hate to
have
interrupt.
had.
I have a question. Like, we know, like some species are reptilian, like humans are, like, obviously primate. Like, what are greys? Are they reptilian-like, or are they own their own thing? What did they evolve from? What are they?
The grays, okay, I'm going to go back with the ones that we've been calling grays too, that are not from this planet but from other planets.
Mm-hmm.
And they started out with that smooth skin. Some of it got textured, kind of like the elephant skin.
Mm-hmm.
And remember I said something about the future, how they evolved? The white grays? Yeah, that's the white grays. Hold on a second. Let me go back to these other species. These other species that have come back from the future, from that species, have evolved into this, and they are not of this planet, and they are a lighter gray color. Okay. And I'm getting, okay, the species that we're talking about, the smaller ones that are, like I say, grays from the other beings, that they were doing something as a future thought, and they were saying something about their skin coloring got a little bit lighter because their atmosphere was a little bit darker from where they are. So they went from a lot of sun to hardly any sun, and this was based on someone bringing back a being from the future, from our planet, for an experiment. And they let somebody know about it. And that was somebody that was in the future coming back from our planet and letting our government know what was going on. They let our government know. They let somebody else know. Ladies, this is the first I'm getting this. Apparently, some of the things that have been going on behind closed doors with our government has been people from our planet, going over to other planets via UFOs, flying ships, whatever you want to call them, picking up species, bringing them back, even to this point in time and to this point in time,
Wow.
so they can be investigated. So our government does know that there are species, and also knows about future travel, and also knows about a lot of things, and have not said anything to anybody. And I asked if any other government was aware of this, and they said at this point in time, there are a few people who know about this, and it's been kept undercover. For how many reasons? It's been kept undercover for protection of the government, protection of the species, protection of future, and we're not allowed to know how to do anything yet. Wow. Our government, and they're just going with our government now. Our government has been told by the people who have come here to visit with us for certain reasons. Some of the things I could feel like there's something they're not telling me, but...
Well, here's the thing, Charlene, because Great Britain, the United Kingdom, has released their UFO files.
Yeah?
Or what they'll allow the people to know, and the United States has yet. And there's this big push for that. Does that have anything to do with it?
Well, one of the things that I've just picked up, Janelle, was that it has something to do with future control. Not army control type of thing, but advanced knowledge getting into the hands of people that have the best regard and best respect. And we, as an American government, are being watched not only by our own American people from the future, because I have a feeling there's something else going on in the future that's not necessarily what we know of as today, but I sense that they're telling me that we were denied information because we're not ready for it. And the reason I feel like they were saying we're not ready for it is because they came here to stimulate our thinking. They came here to help us. At the same time, they couldn't totally get in the way of it, but it was kind of like a warning. And then they turned around and said, you're not ready to have this technology at this point in time. And I really felt like it was the feeling I felt was disappointment, as if we're still too volatile, that mankind is still too volatile.
So this whole thing about the gray beings coming down here and exchanging technology for humans to experiment on isn't true.
If they have that kind of technology and that kind of feelings for mankind, why would they do that? I mean, I can see where we are experimented on all the time. You know, that's going on today in our current technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes they have to give up the lab rats and we have to have humans to put themselves out there. Now, in our country, you can't get away with having a human do it without, written permission. Of course, there's other countries that could care less, and we don't know what's going on behind closed doors in North Korea. Well, some people don't,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying that in that sense of what I felt in that regards was that it was going to be a while yet before anyone got information coming at them. It was to make them aware of this ability, but at the same time, and I'm picking up time travel, it's to make them aware of this ability. Kind of, you know what I feel like? I feel like it's like saying, do you... I'm going to give you a cookie, but that cookie is from a big, huge cookie cake. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like they're saying, I'm going to give you a little taste of what you can have if you can get this straightened up. And now, you know what I'm feeling? I'm feeling now, I can see why so many people push for maybe like a one world government. I'm not picking that up from the future, though. From this person who came to visit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Somebody that came to visit me, too, they said. And I remember when they gave me the emotion, I said, oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. And it looked like a man. I mean, it looks like a man just like our human men look like today. So it can't be that far in the future. It has to be like hundreds of years future. But I think it gave them a taste of enough information to say, maybe we should be doing something to help them out, and help them do something more, or get a better life going and stuff, so that there can be better things. But like this person told me, or someone told me years ago, when we're talking about wars and stuff, they said, if you look at history says we've had wars. And if you look at now, you'll see we have wars. And even if the movies like Star Trek and Star Wars are any indication of the future, you can see we have wars.
Right.
And this being was saying that we still have wars. We still have situations going on because of the fact that even though we have a breed on this planet that are intelligent, there's other breeds on other planets that reach intelligence too. And the breed that, and not to confuse that with the breed that we become from millions and millions of years ahead of time, that gray that we were referring to, the white grays, the tall white grays, those are in the future. And they have want it to start to come back, to start changing some things. Yes, Susan, that's who we become. Cool. And they're doing what they can to change our way of thinking